Meeting will come to order. Good evening and welcome to Tuesday, January 26, 2016 meeting of the Coffeyville City Commission. Tonight's invocation will be conducted by Mary Wilson. After the invocation, please remain standing so we can have a pledge of allegiance to our flag.
Dear God, we're gathered here tonight to attend to the business of the city. We ask you to be here with us and help us make wise decisions. Help us as we go about in our city to see the things that we can do and do them. Help us to be aware of our neighbors in this time when it's cold. Let us be mindful that some of them don't have enough heat or enough food. And so let us take care of those problems too. We thank you for our servicemen and their families who are serving around the world. They give so much for us. They endure so much for us that we can have the freedom to meet together here as a body in our city. Help our city to grow. Be with those first responders here in our city. They take such good care of us. And be with us in this meeting in the days to come. We ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Consent agenda items tonight include regular City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, January 8, 2016, and 2015 appropriation ordinance number AO-15-25 in the amount of $4,483,272.74. And I just want to make sure that I said that correctly. 2015 appropriation ordinance.
That's correct.
Okay. And 2016 appropriation ordinance number AO-16-02 in the amount of $150,377.09. Any additions or corrections to the minutes from Tuesday, January 8th? Questions about the two appropriation ordinances? Seeing none, I move to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Presentation on the East Coffeyville redevelopment plan. Assistant to the city manager, Trish Perdun, will make comments. Trish, thank you for coming.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This evening, as promised, we have Ken Boone from Ochsner Hare & Hare here to present the East Coffeyville redevelopment plan, specifically Chapter 4, which goes into the details of the land use plan and how that plan should be laid out. So without further ado, since this presentation might be lengthy, I'll introduce Ken Boone of Ochsner Hare & Hare. He has a presentation for you on the screen, so if you want to come around so you can see it, we'll go ahead and get that set up. Thank you.
And Mayor, I did put the presentation on the city's website, so if anybody at home wanted to open it on their computer to follow along, it would be on the home page at coffeyville.com right under the news flash.
Perfect.
I think it's warming up. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you, Trish. I actually am not going to be lengthy. You've got a pretty full docket. So I'm going to sort of drill down right into the plan itself. We're going to talk about the key features of the plan, and then I certainly would answer any questions that you have over the content of the document. You had a presentation previously about how the plan was formed, what the process we went through to formulate the plan, the meetings that we held to develop the plan, and then some of the background for setting up and doing the plan in the first place. There's a lot of stuff up here as to why we wanted to do this. All of this is in the presentation that you have and the book. Really, the bold in here is really the underlying reason for doing the ECRP, which is really that the East Coffeyville area is an underutilized resource. The redevelopment of East Coffeyville should encourage economic development, revitalization of existing housing, utilize existing and create new recreational opportunities, and improve the overall aesthetics for the area. So all of these are key vision things that we worked through in the process on land use, economic development, housing, aesthetics, recreation and parks, etc. So this is the process we went through. We went through a conditions analysis. We had leadership committees and neighborhood meetings. We went through concept development to develop the final plan itself. So I want to drill right down into the plan, and I'm going to skip forward here, be respectful of your time this evening. So the central core, well, let's take a step back. You know, when the 2010 land use plan was developed, the 2009 plan that started in 07, the East Coffeyville area still wasn't settled. The litigation wasn't settled. Nobody really knew what was going to happen there. So when when Oxnard Heron Hare did the original comp, or the updated comp plan, we just said, let's visit this when this area has settled down and we understand where it's headed. So that's why we came back in 2013 and end of 2013, starting in the middle of 2014, to develop this plan. And what bubbled out of that plan, some key things, and these are it. There is, in any community off a major highway or commercial corridor, there's only so much viable retail space that you can have, right? I mean, that stuff doesn't create itself, typically, unless you create a destination somewhere that drives that and changes the actual market. And so one of the things we always want to do when we approach these kind of plans as economic development is make sure we understand that, and that we reserve those areas for future redevelopment as viable commercial ground. Oops, sorry about that. There it is. Is that going to reach? So what you see that was developed out of many concept plans is this solid commercial core in the middle of the main entry on the east side of town. When you cross the river and you come into town, this area here is really the most viable, most visible, and it's really your first blush to grab people and get them to spend their dollars in your town off of the highway as they travel either west or south. And so with some modification of streets, street layouts, etc., one of the things that we need to create is larger contiguous parcels that are easy to develop for larger development. And so that's really what this looks at, is developing some larger parcels in concert with existing successful businesses that are on here. We're not going to ignore those. We want to celebrate those. We want to fold them into the development. We want to make sure that successful local business is a part of whatever you would do here. And we also want to maintain this connection all the way to downtown on 8th. So what you see is the removal of a lot of the substreets that are now in not great repair, certainly. This would take a huge burden off of the city for maintenance of those roads by just sort of vacating and demoing that stuff out of there so you can create these pads and redevelopment sites in the future. The other critical thing that was talked about a lot was the industrial and the expansion of industrial as a critical employer and a critical property owner in this area. And I can go backwards and show you really the property ownership of the city and the property ownership of CVR and CVRN in the area. they maintain, CVRN maintain significant property holdings in this area and in here. Those industrial uses are important to the city, and they need room to expand. And so what has been happening here organically is some properties have been bought, and eventually the way that we see this working out is adjacent to these residential neighborhoods here, we would have a full block buffer between the residential neighborhoods and the light industrial expansion here. We would provide expansion of light industrial here. We would have a half block buffer between the existing neighborhood here. And when I say buffer, I mean berms, significant landscape, et cetera, so that we can start to really create some distance between people who are living adjacent or near the industrial and light industrial. Now keep in mind that none of this area is industrial now. This area along here is, the main entry is right there into the plant.
So the dark blue is what?
The dark purple is industrial, and the light purple is light industrial, okay? So those buffers are critical for the neighborhoods, and we want to make sure that that happens. We think that's a really important thing.
So who owns the dark purple, if I may ask? Who owns the land? The dark purple and the light purple, but who owns that land now?
Ownership is right here, and it's mixed.
Okay.
City owns some of that, city owns some of that, and then there's some mixed purple that is the CVR R and CVRN. So you can see just on this map how much the city and CVR, CVRN dominate the sort of the ownership in those areas. And actually on this map, you can see in the red, those are vacant parcels as well. The next sort of buffer area sort of ties into this important feature of the land use plan, which was expansion of existing parks in the area for the city overall, and to, again, create buffer between the commercial area and the existing neighborhood. And so what we're recommending is a relocated and repurposed Harmon Park that is here, that's expanded, that is a different kind of park, that is a daily use park that is different than what you have here. This park is expanded. Our recommendation is to expand this park for play, for active play, for fields, etc. If you want to draw people in, you want to draw families in, our consideration, we do a lot of this in a lot of communities, is to put field and space out here for fields, so that you can actively program fields in your parks to draw people in to have tournaments on weekends, etc. That way, if you have lodging and you have places for them to eat, they stay and they continue to ring your cash registers and they get to know your city. And they tell their friends and they want to come back if they have a great experience. So we think there's some real expansion that could happen here. That would be annexation of that little sliver right there against the levee and against the existing park that we would recommend as well. And then finally, the other large recommendation, we talked a lot about the existing neighborhood. We did a full housing condition analysis of the area. We looked at conditions of homes, et cetera, et cetera. That's all in the book. The amazing thing was, while it's worn, and there are some that are clearly ready for demolition, the vast majority of the existing houses that are standing just need some help. They just need a little bit of rehab, and they're going to be in great shape. Now, whether that's because it can't be done, or whether the resources aren't there for the owners to not do it, or whether it's an absent owner who it's a rental, that's always an issue as well. That housing stock is in decent shape, and so through all of our conversations with the neighborhood one and with the committee two, the result was to save and rehab this neighborhood. Now, this isn't the whole neighborhood, because there are a few homes that are structures that are dotted through some of this area through in here. But we wanted to make sure that we were able to rehab the vast majority of the density of housing. You know, the first thing we want to do is find a block where everybody's trying, and use that as a demonstration block, and really encourage the rehabilitation of the homes there, so you can see that it can happen on the other blocks. There are some homeowners who are really trying, who are really investing, and who are really doing a good job on some of those homes. And I think some of the overall blight in the entire area is taken away from the fact that there's a lot of homes in there that are in pretty decent shape. So I think for us, a rehabilitation program, rehab program and revitalization program for that existing neighborhood is a really critical thing. Okay? And then,
Can I interrupt you, Nick?
yes, sir.
Some of the, I wish I had my pointer all the time on me.
There you go. Want to use this?
Well, I can show you. These houses that you said are dotted in here.
Uh-huh.
What happens to those houses?
Well,
Is there anything that forces them out, or?
well, I think what has to happen is negotiation would need to occur with those landowners for purchase of those homes. If you want to execute this as a plan moving forward, then you would have to put a program together to purchase property, et cetera, as you went through. That's just what you would have to do.
Okay. I assume they are.
Yep, absolutely. And then finally, and I mentioned this before, the focus on the modification of the street network in here, one, to alleviate the burden, and infrastructure network as well, alleviate the burden on the city for long-term maintenance, to create some larger parcels here, but also to cut off some through movements through some conflicting uses between industrial and neighborhood and industrial and commercial that could occur and sort of downgrade the value of the existing neighborhoods or the rehabilitated neighborhoods and the new commercial, right? So we want to make sure that we don't start driving industrial traffic through those areas. And so we've made some modifications to the street system to allow continued and easy access with some of the improvements that you've already done along the highway, but to also restrict movement so you don't devalue what you're trying to build in the first place. So I'll stop there. I mean, there's a lot here. I certainly understand that. If you've got any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those. If you'd like any more information, I'd be more than happy to discuss that as well.
I've got some questions, but I don't know if right now is the perfect time to ask. I guess it is. You guys want to come back over and start? Is Trish or the city going to talk about it, or city staff going to talk about it first, or? Okay, no, okay. Okay, so we're voting on this tonight. We're voting into approve this plan, and I'm a little bit behind on it, I guess. I want to learn as much as we can here, but I saw it in the paper here. We did have a meeting about it too. I didn't know that the commission was going to vote on it. Paul, what do you think about it? Can I ask you what you think about it from council? When we vote on this, I mean, I wish I had time to talk to you. I was hoping to catch you before the meeting, but when we vote on this, let's talk about this as a community a little bit.
Can I ask two questions?
Sure,
Real
sure,
simple
sure,
questions
sure,
I think will help answer.
Okay, sure.
If we adopt this plan and vote on this plan, what is that saying? And how much have we spent and how much is this proposed to spend?
And where's the money coming?
Yeah, that was three. Okay. I'm just trying to
I mean,
help.
I've got all those questions here coming out, but
All right, sorry.
I don't think, Ken, we've been, told enough about, I know I haven't. Maybe it's partly my fault, okay? But I've talked to some people. I read this in the paper, the story. I saw the plan that was presented. Trish, you submitted it before we looked at. I think it's a great plan. I mean, it looks like some good engineering, okay? It looks like a real good thing. We're getting ready to vote on this thing, I guess, are we not? It's on the agenda.
Yes.
And I know we don't have any money.
This
Is it?
this does not commit us to any money.
Yeah.
What does it commit us to?
It tells everyone that we have a plan on how to move forward. It identifies how we will build out in those areas, what is acceptable use of those areas, and then it's something that we can present to developers. This will not be a city-driven initiative. We may facilitate it if we're able to, but we will have to start looking for developers, private monies, the people that will come in and into these areas, whether it's retail, light industrial, but this just gives us a broad scheme of how we can utilize that land.
That looks good. I mean,
To address directly the cost thing, Mr. Manager, so one of the things I did want to address tonight was cost. There's a section in the back of the book on cost. The cost that's indicated in there is really reinvestment, right? That's really what you're talking about, is what is it going to cost to reinvest in this area and envision what is shown in here. There's no commitment that you have to spend $1 on any of that, but much like a comp plan, it gives you a roadmap. So when you guys are making decisions and somebody wants to come in and say, I would like to do this here, you can say, well, let's see what this told us, the direction that we wanted to head, and if it's in conflict, then you can use this as a way to really understand, does it fit or does it not? Does it fit our long-range plan, much like a comp plan would? Or is this just a short-term gain for what we're trying to do? So there's no commitment for anything from a dollar standpoint in here, but what it does tell you is there's a lot of reinvestment that would need to happen to envision the plan as shown. The vast majority of that reinvestment would be private dollars, right? It would be private reinvestment that you're trying to encourage. And I tell all of my clients, we all know that we have very little money to do anything anymore, right? And so whatever dollars that you do get should all be leveraged to encourage private investment. So whatever you're going to do in East Coffeyville, whatever funding and whatever mechanisms you invest in, incentives, any packages you put together, all of that should be done towards leveraging private investment to come in and make the change in the area. Now, you could do things because you're a city. You can really help on how you structure the rehabilitation of existing homes and et cetera. You own all the streets, you own a lot of the infrastructure, et cetera. So that's yours. And so there's some issues that you have to deal with on your infrastructure that's out there now. Eventually you'll have to do that some way or the other. But this is to help you make decisions in the future when this or that sort of thing comes up, is really what its focus is.
So I think it's fair to say this is kind of ammunition for further economic development pushes. What are you going to do with this if we approve it now? Like, what's your plan?
Well, I can tell you what we're already doing. Is you can look, when you look in this plan, you'll see images that they put together, renderings of what this plan will look like. I've already incorporated that into a 5-minute elevator presentation that I give out to developers, to retailers, showing them this is what we have ready. We've already worked with Ochsner Hair and Hair. We have this plan in place. We have the dollars and cents of how much it's going to cost, so it's up front. That's what they all want to see now. They want to see, this is how much it's going to cost for me to develop this site. We have all of that in place with this plan. So that's how we're already using this plan, is this is in place. This is exactly how much it's going to be for you up front. Here's what it'll look like. Here's where other businesses have already started. Here's Holiday Inn. You're going to be right across the street from here. I mean, that's how we're already using the plan.
Kendall?
Yes.
Let's say we adopt this and what can we, if anything, expect to see? And if nobody moves in, if no company comes to town, I don't buy that something will happen, but what can we expect to see in a year? Will anything start happening? Because I know there's some issues over there that we could take care of to help. It looks bad. We could improve some of that. Is there anything like that that would happen to start the process? Or are we just waiting?
One
to
thing
build
we'll
the
be
suit?
starting tonight will be the demolition of the old Walmart building. Those types of things that we are already taking steps to correct. We'll be selling some of the properties that are over there to CVR. That is up for approval tonight. Those are some steps that have to happen, to facilitate this plan. And then we, rely on Trish and our team to start marketing this plan. It's simply an extension of our comprehensive plan. That's all we're doing. It's land use, and we're starting to think strategically about how we're going forward, just like the strategic planning we began last night with goal setting. It's the same thing, but on an economic development side.
Does Ochsner Hair and Hair provide ongoing support if needed as far as revisions or questions or anything like that?
We can. It's currently not in our current contract, but as we go on, we do it a lot. We help with implementation, and for us, implementation is a big part of these plans. It's where everything falls down. The next step or the critical steps to moving forward. I would encourage all of you to read the next steps chapter in the book, because there are some major decisions that need to be made on how you move forward from here. Are you proactive in the way that you try to redevelop the area, or are you reactive? There's no right answer there, but one is really a more focused approach that tends to shorten the timeline for redevelopment. The other one is you're ready to go. You have the information you need, but you're going to react to the market as it comes forward, and you're going to rely on your professionals to sort of help push that along. So there's some significant direction in here, but there's some choices that need to be made on how you would move forward on that. So, but we can certainly help. That's one of the things that we do. Certainly.
Where you guys out of? Do we have that copy of that book? Did I get one of those?
Yes.
Okay, do we have any more tonight? Okay, thank you, Trish.
One of the more immediate things that I think you might see could be on housing side as we look to leverage some of the housing money that we have into some kind of program.
Thank you, Trish.
That might be the most immediate thing that we would see. And now whether that's within the next year, I don't know. That may be a narrow time frame. But I think that is one of the goals that we will start looking at. Try to encourage development or, as he stated, rehab of the current housing stock. Might be a higher return on investment.
And infill. I didn't mention infill, but certainly
Exactly, infill.
there's plenty of room in those neighborhoods to do quality infill to sort of fill out those neighborhoods as they exist now. And if you rehab a demonstration block and you put infill in, and all of a sudden you've got a brand new block that has historic housing in it. To some people, that's an extremely attractive neighborhood to live in.
Could you elaborate a little bit on what you talked about a while ago with berms?
Well, one of the things we wanted to make sure of is that neighborhood was clearly buffered. So we really do see that in the buffer against the industrial, that's a full lot depth buffer, right? A full lot out there now. And so you would have berming, you would have significant landscape enhancement. You may even have some wall or fence in there as well. Again, to create some separation between the heavier industrial, the light industrial, and then the neighborhood. So.
Okay, how many of these does your company might have done, maybe?
I don't know. We've been around since 1910. This kind of planning and redevelopment planning has been a part of the firm since then. I personally have done about 10, 12. I'm currently working on a 4-mile corridor in Independence, Missouri their main commercial corridor, rehabilitation, revitalization for that. I'm currently doing a project in downtown Salina for the entire downtown area and river area as well. So we've got a lot of experience in this. Ralph Auctioner was a pioneer, really, in doing neighborhood revitalization. Ralph's keen interest is that neighborhood in many ways, and how you revitalize and rehabilitate that neighborhood and sort of fit it back into an active part of the city. So we've got a lot of these areas covered, certainly.
So your firm's done, you've done 10 or 12, your firm's done, what, 300 or?
Yeah, call it 50, call it 100,
Okay.
whatever it is.
Well, out of all those, has anything negative come up, any liabilities or anything that the city or the commission or anybody negative come up? Any negatives, liabilities, risks, or anything like that?
That's a really broad sort of question. When you're talking about a sort of policy document about land use, certainly there's a lot of land use law about individual property ownership and those kinds of things, changing zoning and changing land use, et cetera. So there's the legal end of things. This is a desired outcome, so you're not going out and forcing anything. Everything is grandfathered in until change occurs. And that would have to go through your full hearing process with, through your planning commission and through your commission, et cetera.
This is what I'm wondering right here. You're getting to it.
There's no loopholes in here that allow anyone to circumvent anything around. This is really just a policy direction for the commission to understand when they make decisions, are we making the right decisions moving forward?
Ken, what I'm concerned about in the city of Coffeyville and staff and commissioners, we really haven't talked about this that much with the Open Meetings Law Act and everything. I feel like my hands are tied. You understand that?
Certainly.
I'm concerned about the legal side and all that. And
Understand.
once we vote on this, if you're a poor city like I feel Coffeyville is a little bit, strapped for cash with everything.
Sure.
I'm concerned that we can afford to do it. And if it gives a misimpression to the city, maybe staff, maybe financial, this and that, that, hey, we got this plan and now we're gonna do it, and it just doesn't seem like, we just built a new fire and police department, but we didn't want to put it over there. I've talked to several people today, and they all said they wouldn't want to put anything over there. Okay? That's what I heard today. And how would you respond to that, Ken?
Well, I'd say that the East Coffeyville area is really an underserved, untapped resource, but I don't want to put anything over there right now either. It's got terribly deteriorating infrastructure. It's got a really stressed neighborhood that needs rehabilitation and revitalization, but it represents opportunity that you don't have anywhere else in town. Show me anywhere else in town that you have that you have large parcels of ground that directly connects to the rest of the city without going out to go there.
I understand that.
So to me, it represents opportunity, but there's going to need to be some commitment to revitalize and rehabilitate the area. And so I certainly understand their concerns. I wouldn't go and just buy a pad site probably unless it's right on the highway and it's right next to El Poblito and it's, you know what I mean? I mean, that's where I'm going to get customers. That's where everybody is when they're there. So that's the safe play when you're doing investment. What we're saying is we have to make this entire area all right to invest in, right? We want those private people to come invest there. We want the city to invest there. And so really that's what this plan is about is how do you get there, right? What would be the successful way of getting to reinvestment, which is where this plan sort of bubbled up and has been created. And I will mention that we had We had business people, we had industrial people, we had CVR, we had a lot of people that have an interest in this city involved in the committee to make the decisions as to the direction of the plan and where the plan was going to head. We had about 12 people on the committee itself. And it was a pretty wide mix from the school district to, you know, really a lot of different places. So
How did the CVR feel about it? Is it in this thing here? CVR?
they've received copies of all of the stuff. They were at the
Maybe
meeting.
Trish can too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ken.
No, go ahead.
I mean,
They were a 50-50 partner on this. They paid for 50% of the cost to even do this plan.
Okay.
They've been on board since the beginning. They approved this draft. They were absolutely critical as part of this process, and they agree to where they're at.
so they'd vote for it?
Yeah, absolutely. They already did vote for it. We wouldn't have presented it to you if they
Okay,
hadn't.
okay. Was there any other industrial input, Trish? Was there any other businesses that,
I'm trying to remember all the businesses off the top of my head. I know the Thompson, I think it was Ryan Thompson was on the committee. I think they had representatives from the hospital. They had representatives from the school district. I think Acme, the representative from Acme, I think was on there also. Yeah.
was there any negativity?
Bank.
Would they all vote for it?
I would think so,
Okay.
because this is the plan
Okay.
that they sort of drew with us themselves in the concept, so.
Yeah, they worked with this plan to put it together. Oshner Heron Hare analyzed the data to really figure out where the intersections needed to be, where the roads needed to be, the actual square footage we needed to have to actually develop large commercial lots, which is what developers do now. And that's where they put it in. The committee, local residents are the ones that drew that map that you see now. Now, we did get a draft, and I think I told you this before, almost a year ago, that the costs were much higher because the infrastructure would have to be relocated. So we worked with city staff, a large team of city staff worked together with Oshner Hare and Hare, Trans Systems, and CVR to make sure that 8th Street stayed as a major corridor that tied 169 right into our downtown. We knew that that was absolutely critical, and it also dramatically reduced the costs, so we don't have to relocate a lot of infrastructure by doing that.
Okay, Trish, and, you know, do you see any money we're gonna be spending on this in the next year, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5? Is there any projections on that? Because that's my only thing, is I don't wanna vote for it if we don't have money. I mean, I feel like if we vote,
This does not lock us into spending a dime. Any expenditures would have to come back before the commission. And as I stated, I think maybe the most immediate thing we might try to do is leverage some kind of housing development in those areas. And we have some monies that are available through some grant programs. We're trying to develop a program to incentivize a developer to build
okay,
some sort of housing, whether it be multifamily or infill, rehab, something. And that is seems like one of the most logical spots.
I think another area too you could look at is we have our capital improvement plan for our streets. There are streets in this plan. I mean, we could start to incorporate this plan now into our streets plan.
Okay.
And that is structured over several years, and
okay.
Also,
our staff would need to look at that.
Our parks, we're making a concerted effort with the new Parks Board to try to address our parks, and Harmon is one of the key things that they're looking at. We need to be making a decision, in the coming months on what will be the fate of Harmon Park. Right now, it's greatly underutilized. That's a property that CVR would like to obtain. We've had some discussions about what could happen in a transaction, whether there would be development of a new Harmon Park in that area that's with maybe some assistance from CVR or other private entities.
Okay.
But we don't envision this being city monies that are going to drive this development. But we have to have, like you said, we have to have a roadmap for how it's going to look.
I think we're good.
I'm good.
Is there going to be any public comment?
I don't know why we can't have some. I mean, how's that work?
Says the public's allowed to vote on anything not on the agenda. So why couldn't he come up?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
If you want to talk, come on.
How does that work?
We have policy guidelines to say that after a specific agenda item is introduced, the public can come up and make comments.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Stay close by, Kim.
No problem.
Mayor?
Resolution number R-16.
We gotta, wait a
I-
minute.
Did you not just hear what he just said?
Yeah, go ahead, go
Once,
ahead. I
once,
apologize.
once the
I
resolution.
apologize, go ahead.
Once the resolution is introduced, then then the
Okay.
public has the opportunity to
Okay,
speak.
go.
So now I'm introducing the
Thank-
resolution.
Thank you.
Resolution number R-16-27, a resolution to adopt the East Coffeyville redevelopment plan. Do any commissioners have any questions that haven't been already addressed?
Well, I've got a question to the commissioners.
Okay?
I mean, we had a real good presentation. I think I learned a lot. Do any of you see any problems with voting for this? And if so, what are they?
Well, what I've gathered is, this is like coming up with an idea how to remodel your house. You haven't spent the money yet, but you gotta have some kind of a vision of what you're doing. And that's been sitting over there since almost 10 years. And we need to start having an idea of what we're doing. We're getting ready to redo 8th, aren't we, the intersection? So, I mean, we're already doing stuff over there.
Okay.
And we're not spending anything. And if, they still have to come before us.
I understand.
I think we're just trying to say, let's get something
I
going.
understand. I'm with you.
And it'd probably be better to have, if some big megalomart come over there and wanted to drop down, they'd want to know what we have in mind.
I
So, I
couldn't agree more.
mean, I got some concerns, but it's not enough to make me jump out the window here.
Have any of you guys heard any negative things from any of our citizens that would make us not want to vote for this?
Well, there's always a concern that it's a flood area, but you could say that the city of New Orleans wouldn't have been rebuilt. There's parts of Tulsa and parts of Bartlesville. You can't let that scare you. You can't,
Okay.
that's a prime location on
Okay.
2 major highways. We're screwing ourselves if
Right.
we don't try to redevelop that.
I agree. Thank you, Justin.
I just simply think that it's a plan, it's a template, and it is a way to move forward on that side of our community. I think that there's been very little time or effort or money spent to redevelop, utilize, or try to incorporate that back into the our community after the flood. I think this is the first step forward. So that's my position. I've heard nothing negative.
Okay, good.
Any additional comments or questions from commissioners? If not, any public wishing to speak on this item, please come forward and address the commission.
My name is Jim C. Taylor Sr., live at 704 Spruce. I live on the other side of the tracks, live in the west part of town. And I'm concerned that we're making special concessions, so to speak, but I have no objection to the project if we would include the whole city. I live on a street that is 40 or 50 years old. It has suffered as much damage as the flood. We need infill housing all over town. We need a street that gets our children down Buckeye Street to our parks that we already have. We already have parks that are not used. We have a golf course that's unused. We're going to now put our efforts onto the east side We don't have the population to support any of the things we're presently doing, and if we're going to do it, I don't know why the $300 million wasn't mentioned this evening. It's part of the report, isn't it? Is there a $300 million, I'm supposed to address here, I think there's a $300 million amount mentioned. If I extrapolate that to the whole city, I'm looking at $1.5 billion. And we've got fewer than 10,000 people here that they think that we're going to do something. These are all good things. But if we don't have somebody here with the money to pay for it, I sat in the chair that you all have when this company came and we talked about the apartment buildings downtown, the Mill Supply Apartments. And their presentation was that we were going to have a lot of activity. We would have a little grocery store. It'd be big business for the restaurants. We'd have some retail. We'd have some banking. Well, the banks are moving. The retails are moving. There's no store. This is all pie in the sky. It's going to pass, no question about it. That's the way we do it here. We talk about it, big noise, and we don't have the money to do it. I don't know why we need it. Is this survey that we're paying for, and I don't remember how much it was, but how much was it so our citizens will know?
75,000 total. It was split
And we
between.
paid half, and the
Yeah.
refinery paid half.
Correct.
Is it now ours? Do we have to pass it and act like we're going to, is it ours to act on if we want it some later date?
But is there any additional cost from passing it, is what I was trying to ask. If we've already spent the 75, correct?
Correct.
So, okay, we pass it, what are
I'm
the
asking
costs?
you if it's now ours,
In what way?
on their work product. The work product that they supplied, is it ours?
That's that, Trish, is it ours? It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's ours. We
So-
got it. Here it is, we've got it.
Why do we need to vote on it? We've got it. Now you commissioners
Okay,
can
that's a
decide
good question. I've been trying to ask that in a different format all along.
So the alternative is what?
Is, we have
Nothing
it.
at all? Just do
They're
nothing at
paid,
all?
thank them for it, and then you'll you've all have got the deal to do. When somebody shows up with some money, then let's proceed.
Mr. Taylor, I think, my dad, Mr. Taylor, I think the answer is, and someone else correct me if I'm wrong, it is the fact that we, as a city, have it in format that we said, yes, we like it, and we're going to try to get there. You know, when I came in here tonight, I wondered, you know, should I vote for it or should I not? You and I talked about it. I talked about 4 or 5 different people about it, and I'm going to vote for it, I think. I haven't changed my mind. But it's just something, I've been told by staff that it's not going to cost us anything. And it is driven by private. As Ken said, it is driven by private money. We don't have any money to spend, so how's it going to cost us something? I mean, that's one way to look at it, okay? I don't think we're like the federal government. We can just keep borrowing money into 20 trillion. I don't think we're like that. We might be headed that way in some people's views, but I think we're okay with it, okay? I like the plan. It looks great. You can tell a lot of work went into it. We need to do something with these sites. And it's a 20-year deal, 30-year deal. It might be a 50-year deal. Who knows? But I don't think I would have spent the money, $75,000 to do it. Maybe I would have if I was, king of the city. But we've already spent it. You probably voted no on it before, correct?
Correct.
Okay. It went for it, and I think at this point in time, we don't have any really, smart option than to go ahead and adopt it. I just hope it's not a tool for the city to say, hey, we adopted this thing, and so we're going to spend some more money, and our taxes are going to go up. That's what I'm concerned about. That's what you're concerned about. I know there's probably people out there that are thinking about moving from Coffeyville because of what it is and taxes going up. But I think, based on what I know, it's a good thing.
Mr. Commissioner, I expected that from you and the rest.
Okay.
The only thing I'm saying, as a long-term experienced person with what happens, that's going to be a shovel that we get hit over the head with. Oh my God, didn't you see the study we had done? The study says we're going to do it. All I'm saying if we're gonna do it for the east side, let's do it for all the streets and parks and trash we have every place else.
Okay.
Include the whole town. This is a plan for the whole city.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
all
Tate.
right. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron? You were on the committee.
Yes, I was on the committee originally. Ryan Thompson, 2319 West State Street. Yes, I was on the original committee, which was the one that Gary was informed with Ken and everything else. And then, okay, it kind of fell apart as far as, I think the process ended with our committee as far as what when happened at that point, and then it moved on to the staff looking at it and moving on with the support from CBR and everything else as far as that goes. So I hadn't seen anything for tonight as far as that goes, as far as what the finished product was. I think Oshner and Hare does a great job. I mean, they've built some great, beautiful projects and everything else. And I have more of a comment about our process in this. We've spent a lot of money over the years, especially since 2007, from a 5-year strategic plan to this plan, and not a lot of it has been enacted. So I'm all in favor of the community getting a plan, putting that plan into process. Be good stewards of our money, though. Make sure that we're not building something and they don't come, because that'd be a huge waste of our resources. I'm all in favor of doing small projects that enhance what we've done. Chief Grimmett, when he was interim city manager, one of the things I know that he was doing over on the east side was trimming the corridor, the trees, the sidewalks, the edging of the roads, and it was a noticeable difference. Small things like that can be done, I think, in our community have a huge impact on what we view and what our guests view to our community. And I don't think the overall cost is that much when we start looking at it in that aspect. I do agree with Mr. Taylor Sr. that we've got a whole community here to focus on, and we've got a lot of areas that do need a lot of need. And we need to create a plan that centers on that and expands out from that, not just in one area or the other, or whatever the case is. But as far as tonight's plan, as far as the east side, I think that it does make sense, and especially if Coffee Resources has approved it, I think that's a huge part of this plan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Greg?
Hey, my name's Greg Val, 608 Sunflower, 1110 East 5th Street, and 1409 Catalina. That's the 3 places I live. I have 2 businesses on the east side of town. Never had any idea about this until I read it in the newspaper. I would have thought, I mean, I'm not a large employer, but I employ between 12 to 18 people. I would have thought I would have been contacted. I think they did a fantastic job on their presentation, and I think it's a good plan. I think we need to develop the east side of Coffeyville, but I ask you to use some caution because we don't want another urban removal project here. I mean, no offense, but consultants, my entire career, always taken everything that consultants give me with a grain of salt because it's an opinion. Mm-hmm. I know they show facts behind it, but one problem I did have is that when I'm looking at the plan, I look up and I'm looking at my facility that is presently, one of the 608 Sunflower, that's presently zoned light industrial and is now zoned commercial. And we did away with Sunflower. What am I going to do? I have a little issues with that. I do believe we need a commercial corridor there on 169, 166, and I think it's a fantastic program. But I would caution that let's take that with a grain of salt too, because that commercial corridor was open before we had the flood. And I didn't see a lot of businesses, and we had a larger population back then. I didn't see a lot of businesses flooding in there to open up a commercial corridor. We have a new business that's come in town and that's developing on there, and we're touting that as the go-to. But is that additional market, or are they going to be a predatory and take somebody else's market share? Are we going to lose some other hotels as a result of the new one coming in? Because he's got big pockets, deep pockets. What I do think, though, in that area, and I do want to say this. Nobody wants to call this, other than Mr. Taylor would probably be the one to say it. But Harmon Park, I spend a lot of hours in the day in that neighborhood. Let's call it what it is. The reason nobody uses Harmon Park is because there's too many hoodlums down there. It's not because it's next to the refinery. That Harmon Park was there at the when we built that, it was next to the refinery. So it's the hoodlums. You move that over, and I noticed on this, it's going to be right next to my facility. They noticed, I think on page 74, and there, was it 65 pages or 75 pages, the report? But they note on one of the last few pages of proven success, I'd like to see some of that success. I mean, not just hearsay, let's see some numbers behind there on a situation comparable to Coffeyville, Kansas. I mean, let's face it, a lot of my customers throughout the United States are in rural America, and they'll all tell you that rural America towns are dying. So I know that consulting groups like this have a plethora of customers for cities coming in and wanting to develop a plan. I'd like to see some facts behind what the success rate is on that. And the market analysis. As owning 2 businesses on the east side of town, I'd really like to see that last page of the report, if it's available. I don't know if it's available or not. I know it wasn't online. But I'd be really interested to see what the market analysis is on that.
Have we got that available?
Yeah, we do. It was just so massive, I was trying to save bandwidth, to be honest. But yeah, we can put it out there also.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you can pick up a copy at the city, right?
I appreciate it. But
I need,
I do think something needs to be done. Oh, one thing I did want to comment on is, and I think it was announced in Parsons Sons, that we're getting another facility moving in to Coffeyville. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But when we go after these jobs, we need jobs here in Coffeyville, and we need housing. Everybody knows that. And is it the chicken before the egg or the egg before the chicken? And we have to do something. However, on that east side of town, I don't know why we don't open it up to industrial. A lot of industrial and refinery-friendly industrial people. That, I mean, we've got 6 refineries with an afternoon's drive right here in Coffeyville, Kansas. Why don't we try to do some type of enticement, tax benefits, tax abatement, or something of that, refinery, heat exchanger shops, fin fan shops, things like that. I would love to see, we saw what happened when Amazon pulled out and Southwire pulled out. And you pull out one employer with, a couple, 300 employees. I saw firsthand what it did to my business. What I'd love to see is if we had 50 companies with 10 jobs, or 10 companies with 50 jobs that all paid very well. I mean, good paying jobs. And I think you'll find that in some of your fabrication shops. And we've got the Coffeyville Community College right here, welding technology program. I don't know, it's just an idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
great.
Anybody else?
Max Williams, 3408 West First. I presently serve on the Planning and Zoning Committee, and I was on it, I think, 8 or 9 years ago when we did a complete comprehensive plan for the whole town. Is that right? And this company did it and did an excellent job. So that was a roadmap to take care of what we already had. So I know they can do a job on this, and I don't know what the concern is. All that is a roadmap. It's the best choice. If you want to take a detour, do it. But they're just saying, here's the best way to do it. You want to follow their plan. And it's an excellent tool for the planning and zoning. I know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Max.
Charles Weed, 207 West New. All we're looking for, when you're building a house, the first thing you need is a set of prints. Then you need a framework, and then you need to fill in the rest of it. All this is a blueprint. Now, until the house starts getting built, you can change the blueprint. But what this is going to give the city and what we're going to give the people as prospective business owners, commercial, whatever, to the city, this is going to give them a blueprint, something they can start from, and not a whole bunch of higgledy-piggledy mishmash like we've been having with rebuilding City Hall. Have a hard design and try to stay to it. You know, we don't need 400 monkeys with 400 ink pens and 400 pieces of paper drawing up 400 designs at once and then changing the monkeys every week and letting them try to figure out what the last one did.
Why are you looking at me the whole time, Charles? I want to spend $5 million. On the thing we voted on, I want to spend 5, and now we're going to spend a lot more. So you know, I mean, you're not looking at each one of us. You're looking at me.
You're
Okay?
the only one that's looking back at it.
Okay,
The
okay.
rest
I
of them
feel
got
better
their
now. Thank
noses
you,
in their
Charles.
iPads.
Thank you,
You know,
Charles.
so looking at them's a waste of time. But you know, that's all this is.
I appreciate your comment about the blueprint. I feel better about it now.
Yeah.
You know,
Now,
I really
we've got
do.
people coming up, and I own this little corner over here, and I own this little alleyway over there, and we got to spend the money over there too. We don't have $27 billion to jack this city up and slide a new city in place. Get this corridor going, and that's bringing money in. Then we've got tax money we can afford to spend somewhere else. You know, but let's get a starting point. That's what this is.
Thank you, Charles.
I'd like to make a motion for resolution R-16-27.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Castler and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolution number R-16-27 for adoption. Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Well, if that wasn't enough, now we have comments from the public. The public can feel free to approach the podium and address the commission. We ask that you be polite when you address the commission, and we ask that you be mindful of others that may want to speak and limit your comments to at least or a maximum of 3 minutes. Jim Faulkner, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Jim Faulkner, 1014 West 3rd. Short question. Where are we on the codification of our city ordinances? I've been asking.
It continues.
I've been asking for months, and it's been promised next month, next month, next month. And then we would have them online so that they're available for all the citizens to take a look at. So the question is, where are we in that process, and how much longer might we anticipate it take?
Where are we?
Thank you.
You want me to respond to that?
And I know that he's addressing, but that is a valid question. And if I am going on 3 and a half, and we've been doing this for 3.5 years. I think 3.5 years is plenty of time to get it done.
It's actually been longer than that. We started, went a different direction, went a different direction. I think we're on our basically third direction at this point. It's coming along. It's very labor intensive, time consuming. I basically took a week in November or December, I think it was, actually, and took that time to meet with city staff, and we went through the chapters, and I've been sending out chapters as I revise them, and they've been giving feedback. That process is ongoing. I think I'm going to need to set aside another week to try to get the project finished as far as we are concerned. Then it goes to MuniCode. They have a code lawyer there that will then do a second draft, and we'll have another opportunity to go through it all again. That's the process. That's where we are. We're still getting comments and suggestions from staff, and it's just a lengthy process. We'll continue to work diligently on it and try to get it done.
Okay. Additional comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. First item, resolution number R-16-12, a resolution to authorize the construction of a public building and provide for the payment costs. Mitch, Walter, Gilmore, and Bell will make comments. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Your Honor, and, Commissioners. Mitch Walter, Gilmore, and Bell, as you stated. You have before you a resolution authorizing the construction of a public building and authorizing the issuance of bonds to pay the costs therefor. It's my understanding that there's been vigorous consultation with the city staff and the board as to the scope of the police and fire building that's now determined as set forth in the resolution that it will be a standalone police and fire building. And what this resolution does is authorizes the construction of the project and also the issuance of general obligation bonds to pay the cost of that project.
Questions? Seeing none. Motion.
I might have a question, John, I'm trying to think. So you represent the company that's going to issue the bonds. Tell us, fill me in here, I'm a little slow.
Yes, sir.
Mitch?
I work for Gilmore and Bell. We're a law firm, and we are bond counsel to the city of Coffeyville. So in a transaction, in a bond transaction, this resolution is what we call a project authorization, which is a necessary step towards the issuance of the bonds to finance the project. The resolution itself will go into a transcript that will eventually become the transcript for the bonds, and it becomes part of the larger overall transaction, as well as serving as a resolution for the city, evidencing its intent to.
Where are you guys out of again?
Wichita, Kansas.
Okay. Have you looked at, what do you think about what do you think about it? You've looked at it pretty good, right?
As far as the
financial, paying back.
I'm sorry?
Our financial ability to pay for it.
Well,
and legal issues. I mean, I don't know. I'm sponging here, Mitch. I'm sponging.
Sure.
I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant.
I'm an attorney, so I'm more comfortable speaking to the legal issues, and we are certainly comfortable that there are not any legal issues to prevent you. There are no legal risks as far as the project or the issuance of bonds to pay the costs. Springstead Incorporated is actually the city's financial or municipal advisor, and they work with Stephanie as far as running the cash flows of the city and the anticipated sources of revenue that'll be used to retire the debt as shown in the bonds with their issue for the project. So I think that as far as the overall city financial, Stephanie would probably be in much better position than I would to
okay, I understand.
comment on that.
Okay, so you come over here to help with any legal questions or
correct, as
anything
it relates to bond finance projects. That's correct.
Okay. Is this gentleman out here, is he with you, or?
Yeah, over here is Dominic Eck. He's an attorney with our firm as well. I believe this is his second city council meeting.
I see.
Been able to attend.
I see. I got you. Thank you. Okay, well.
Any additional questions?
I move to approve resolution R1612 for adoption.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Powell and seconded by Commissioner Castler to approve resolution number R-16-12 for adoption. Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
No.
Commissioner Martin.
No.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye. Resolution number R-16-13, a resolution to sell general obligation bonds for municipal facilities improvement. Mitch, Walter, and Gilmore and Bell will make comments. Which one are you?
I'm the same Mitch Walter,
Okay.
Your Honor. Connected to the previous resolution is this next resolution, which is actually authorizing Gilmore and Bell as bond counsel to the city and Springstead Incorporated as the city's municipal advisor to move forward with the necessary actions that it's going to take to sell the bonds for a public sale, during which the city will advertise the sale of the bonds pursuant to a notice of bond sale, which we would also be asking that you approve in its substantial form. and take all the other actions that are necessary in order to sell the bonds and receive the funds and close the transaction. The projects to be financed in this bond sale are the police and fire building, the resolution, which project you've just authorized, and the municipal building improvements. And the resolution calls for that the principal of the bond shall not exceed $7 million, and that the true interest cost on the bond shall not exceed 3.95%. Those are parameters that will allow the city administrator to award the sale of the bonds to the best bidder. So on the day of the sale, the city will take bids and award the bonds to the best bidder should it choose to do so. With that, I'd be happy to stand for any additional questions.
Questions?
The $7 million, is that gonna finance both the new building and the remodel of this one? Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
Additional questions? Motion.
I move to approve Resolution R1613 for adoption.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Powell and seconded by Mayor Williams to approve resolution number R-16-13 for adoption. Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
No.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
No.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Thank you. Discussion and action to approve a cereal malt beverage license for MKT at 1401 West 11th, Coffeyville. Cindy Price, City Clerk, will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, the MKT Incorporated, the convenience store at 11th and Buckeye, or 1401 West 11th, has a new owner, and subsequently they needed to apply for a new cereal malt beverage license. They do meet all of the qualifications that are required, and we recommend that they be issued the license. The new owner is present tonight.
Questions? Motion.
I move to approve resolution, move to approve a cereal malt beverage license for MKT.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Powell and seconded by Mayor Williams to approve a 2016 cereal malt beverage license for MKT Incorporated located at 1401 West 11th. Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye. Resolution number R-16-02, a resolution to execute a contract with Home Center Construction for construction of chlorine booster station for the water utility. Public Works Director Chuck Shively will make comments. Okay, and I need, before we go into this, have all of us received the packet from the city? Everyone? On this item, because this is quite lengthy. Everyone read it?
To a certain degree.
I didn't read it all.
Okay.
I went through a bunch of stuff today, but I don't remember.
So my question is
Is it in this? Because I went through this today.
It's I-4.
I-4? Let me see if I looked at it. But keep talking, Mayor.
So my question is that if we've all read it, we all understand it, is it necessary for Public Works Director Chuck Shively to read it word for word?
Yeah, that's a good question. What's this for?
It's for a rechlorination,
Right.
to help keep our chlorine residual up in the system.
It's that deal. Okay, I read it.
Okay. So can you give us a general overview of it without reading
Basically,
it
we've
word for
had
word?
problems keeping the chlorine residual up. One of the reasons is because EPA reduced the amount we could leave the plant with. One of the reasons is we have 9 million gallons stored underground, and in the summer, the heat dissipates the chlorine before it leaves. This will rechlorinate before it goes on out into the system. So
Now-
it will
you see a lot of hydrant flushing in August and September. That's to bring the chlorine residual up. This should eliminate, maybe not all, but a lot of that.
A lot of chemicals, it said in the report.
Yeah, because, you know, that's treated water, and we have to treat it with chemicals, and then we end up flushing it in a ditch. So by rechlorinating, it'll come into the system at a higher concentration within the EPA and KDHE allowed range.
Okay, how long ago did we figure out, or did this come on the radar screen? And
It's been coming on the radar screen for years
Okay.
because regulations changed, the amount we could leave with. Originally, we treated with straight chlorine.
Okay.
They found that that might cause cancer. So then we started adding ammonia to change the chlorine to chloramine, which doesn't have the cancer-causing properties, but is a weaker disinfectant. So several issues like that over the years have built up, and it's just become a bigger issue for us.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, Chuck.
Well, so we have looked at several options. These plans have been approved by KDHE. We bid it, and the low bid was $333,622.
So, you know, we're planning on, you know, doing these obligation bonds for everything. And how long have we known we're gonna have to spend this money? Because I didn't know about it.
We opened bids,
In November, I believe.
was it, okay, November?
Well, we opened bids earlier, a year or so ago, and then we rejected bids because they were high. We did some redesign, some value engineering. We rebid in November, I
And
believe.
this, how's this paid for?
From-
The water capital improvement funds, we've been setting money back for a few years. We have the money in there to pay for this.
Okay.
Chuck, what's the cost per 1,000 gallons,
The cost of water per thousand,
approximately?
Stephanie, can you?
Well, how much a gallon is it?
Production cost?
The cost to produce?
Produce.
Approximately $1.
$1. And how much water do you think we waste down a ditch out of an open fire hydrant in the summer's time? So for every hydrant that it's open, we're spending $200,000. $200,000 to let water run down the street.
10 cents a gallon, isn't it?
It is $1 per thousand, 10,000, yes.
10 cents a gallon.
Okay.
And there's 200,000.
20,000.
It's 20,000.
Okay, okay.
But it's for every day that is open. You're going
And we'll
to
have
you're going to make back
multiple
this
hydrants open
multiple
around town.
hydrants open.
It's ridiculous. A lot of money.
I've
But we
seen
gotta
them run
keep the
weeks.
drinking water
I've seen them
safe.
run
We
weeks at a
can't let
time.
that residual drop. So we got to do what we got to do to keep the water safe.
So this 300,000 will be repaid rather quickly. Plus, please remember, this is from utility sales. This isn't tax revenues that are paying for this.
I got you. Okay, good.
Our water rates are high enough to set money aside for these projects in our capital improvement fund, and that's how this is being paid for.
Additional questions on this resolution? None. I move to approve Resolution -1602.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-16-02 for adoption. Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Kessler.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Resolution number R-1603, a resolution to execute an engineering service work authorization agreement with Algor Martin and Associates for construction, engineering, and inspection services for a water utility chlorine booster station project. Basically, same thing. Gonna build it.
Construction, engineering, and inspection for that project you just approved.
Questions?
Nope.
Move to approve. Any other questions? Move to approve resolution number R-1603.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolution number R-16-03 for adoption. Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck.
Resolution number R-16-14, resolution to execute a permanent drainage easement for Duck Creek drainage area. City Attorney Paul Kreitz will make comments.
Do I have to address you as Your Honor?
You know, I was thinking, that was a new one for me. He said, Your Honor, I thought I got promoted.
This item goes along with the next agenda item. The city is getting ready to sell some property to CVR. One of the pieces of property has a drainage area, I guess in connection with Duck Creek, that we want to retain before we convey to CVR. So this will allow the city to basically put an easement into effect for a permanent drainage easement that will run with the land.
Questions on that easement? Gentlemen, move to approve 16, or move to approve R-16-14.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolution number R-16-14 for adoption. Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Resolution number R-16-15, a resolution to execute a real estate contract with Coffeyville Resources Refining and Marketing. City Manager Kendall Francis will make comments.
Mr. Mayor, we have 26 vacant properties surrounding the refinery, 26 vacant lots, and what is commonly called as Duck Creek. We'd like to sell those properties to the refinery and in turn use that money to purchase the land and the properties for the standalone police and fire station. We approached the refinery about 5 months ago with the idea of either purchasing an outright purchase or a land swap that would allow us to do a cash neutral transaction on the land at 11th and Gillum. The refinery has been just excellent partners with the city. I've worked directly with Darren Rains through this whole process, and they've been more than willing to help us out in this regard.
Questions, gentlemen?
Nope.
I move to approve resolution R-16-15 for adoption.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Powell and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-16-15 for adoption. Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
We're on item number 8 of a
23.
23-item agenda, and it is 7:53. I'm going to call for a short break to reconvene at 8 o'clock. Okay, we'll reconvene the meeting. We're continuing at item agenda number 8, which is resolution number R-1616, a resolution to authorize an agreement with professional engineering consultants for engineering services for the Wilshire Curb and Gutter Project. Engineering Superintendent Thomas Osborne will make comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Last year, when we were getting ready to do the surface seal, Wilshire Street was on the surface seal. We looked at it. The curb and gutter was so bad that you were going to have to replace a lot. So we actually pulled Wilshire and told them we were going to switch them to a different project. That's this project here. Basically, PEC is going to come, survey, design, and rebuild the curb and gutter to where it works, flows properly. There's not going to be holding water, holding mosquito pits and everything like that. So this is also the first work authorization for PEC. After last meeting, we actually hired them as another on-call service agreement engineer. You have to answer any questions?
Questions about this item, gentlemen?
No.
Resolution number R-1616, make a motion to pass.
I'll make a motion to pass it.
I made the motion.
Oh, second. I'll second it.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-16-16 for adoption. Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thomas.
Code Enforcement Officer Tammy Dixon will make comments about resolution number R-16-17, a resolution to execute a contract with Muller Construction for demolition of the structure at 900 East 8th Street in Coffeyville.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Tammy Dixon. I'm your City Code Enforcement Officer. I was asked to open up bids at the structure located at 900 East 8th, which is known as the old Walmart building. We received 6 bids for the building, and we are recommending Muller Construction for this contract, and he was also the lowest bidder, and he's also has worked with us in the past and done a good job for the city.
Questions on this item?
Nope.
Move to approve R-16-17.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolution number R-16-17 for adoption. Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Tammy.
Ordinance number G-16-01, first reading of an ordinance to amend court costs for municipal court. City Attorney Paul Kreitz will make comments.
Commissioners, court costs are right now $75 for traffic cases and $100 for non-traffic cases in municipal court. We were notified that the state increased their share of the court costs by 50 cents. We haven't adjusted court costs since 2010. We thought we would propose a modest increase of $5 for both sides. As I mentioned in my memorandum, this is basically a user fee that's paid only by convicted offenders. And also, we included some information, some comparative information in the agenda packet, which I think shows that we're not out of line as far as court costs are concerned.
And this goes toward what?
Well, $22 goes for the judicial branch surcharge, $1 for the branch education fund, $20 for the law enforcement training center fund, and the rest, I believe, is transferred to the general fund.
The city general fund?
Yes.
I have 2 questions, and I don't know if you can answer the first question, but what are the court costs for, 2 questions. What are the court costs for district court, and why doesn't the city just adopt the same court costs as the district court? That way they're universal throughout the county.
I know the court costs for misdemeanor cases in district court are $158. Their overhead's higher, I think. They have probation officers. Of course, they charge a probation fee on top of that, but I don't know the answer. I just think we try to keep in line with what other cities are doing for the most part.
The second question that I have, actually, I got two questions, but I'm going to take a third if you don't mind.
Okay.
I noticed that on our court costs by cities, and unless I missed it, none of these cities are in our county. What are the rest of the cities doing? Are they more or less than what we are?
I know Caney is less. I don't know about Independence and Cherryville.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor. Move to approve ordinance number 16-01.
Second.
And that will be for first reading.
That is correct.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve ordinance number G-16-01 for first reading. Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
I guess so. Seemed like court costs are pretty high to me, but I'll go with it. Aye.
Aye. Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is resolution number R-16-18. Before we go into this, I'll say item number 11, resolution, or item number 11 on the agenda, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 are all comments from Electric Utility Deputy Director Mike Shook. And they are all in reference to the electric utility that we are currently building. So that way I don't have to keep
Absolutely.
going on and on and on. And here again, we've all received the packets, correct? We've all looked at the information. Is that correct? Can you give us
Absolutely.
the instead of reading the entire thing word for word, give us the meat.
I'll try to give you a brief summary of each one.
All right.
The first item, as it's stated, is a change order with Air Systems and Pump Solutions. What this is for is a set of two additional electrical contacts for the air compressor system at the new generation facility. It's at a cost of $935.94. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions on that one?
Nope.
Move to approve change order or the resolution R-16-18.
Second. You beat me.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolution number R-16-18 for adoption. Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye. Resolution number R-16-19, resolution execute a change order number 1 for shop fab tanks with United Industry Group for the electric utility.
Mayor, Commissioners, as you stated, this is another change order. This change order is in the amount of $2,556. This is for additional modifications to some exterior ladders and platforms on 3 steel tanks that will be used for lube oil storage at the new generation facility.
Necessary to get the job done?
It's to maintain OSHA compliance
Okay.
for the ladders.
Questions, gentlemen? Move to approve resolution number 16-19.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-16-19 for adoption. Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
I know I'm moving kind of quick, so if I say questions, you guys have questions, just jump right in.
Thank you.
All right. Resolution number 16-20, resolution to execute a change order number 4 for pre-engineered metal building with Crosslink Construction for the electric utility.
Mayor, Commissioners, in summary, this change order, as you stated, is with Crosslink Construction for the pre-engineered metal building. This ties back into the first change order on the air compressors. Because of the ambient air temperatures being so cold in this area compared to what they had originally planned, we're going to put some ducting on this and some louvers, and we're going to take this out of the mechanical installation contract, move it over to the building contract, tie it into the HVA system so we don't have to buy another control system for this. So this will actually save us some money. In doing so, we're also going to get a deductive change order from the mechanical installation contract as well. It will not be a wash, but it is at this point in the game, it makes perfect sense. This item, this change order is at a cost of $28,550.52.
Questions on this one, gentlemen?
No.
Motion.
I move to approve resolution R-1620 for adoption.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Powell and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-16-20 for adoption. Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Resolution number R-14, correction, resolution number R-16-21, a resolution to execute a change order number 04, underground utilities and foundations with UCI Incorporated for the electric utility.
Mayor and Commissioners, this item here is actually a series of engineering changes and a combination of change orders which I have included in your packet. These have been reviewed by Burns McDonnell, the project engineers. They've vetted this. They agree with it. This change order is at a cost of $89,979.58.
So what's this one about?
Commissioner Taylor, this is actually, if you'll, in the packet, it's probably 4 pages of engineering changes, additional out-of-scope work, some deductive, some added cost. Of course, at a cost of $89,000, there's more added cost than deductive changes. But this is all from the site prep, or not site prep, but underground utilities contract.
You think it's fair?
I think it's high, but that's what it cost.
I understand. I got you.
And that was negotiated down. I might
Okay.
add that.
Okay. No questions from this end of the table? No further questions?
Additional questions? None. Move to approve resolution 16-21.
Second.
Marcus and Marcus? Justin, you guys gonna help us out on this a little bit?
I'll vote.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolution number R-16-21 for adoption. Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Resolution number
Bottle of water.
R-16-22, resolution to execute change order number 02, site preparation with UCI Incorporated for the electric utility.
Mayor and Commissioners, this change order is in the amount of $30,745. What this item is for the heavy haul road. That's the temporary heavy haul road that we're building to exit the old Highway 169 with a radius to get the, which Commissioner Taylor knows well about, to get the trailer and the units off the highway and onto the site. Originally, we had planned on coming in from the north. Now they're coming in from the south. We had to increase the radius to make that turn. This is for the construction of that heavy haul road and the removal, because we have to put it back to present condition as per the county.
Can you just put down some mats?
Not, we're actually going down about 18 inches and putting some really big base rock in.
What are they doing out there today? I saw them
By the
digging.
highway.
I saw them digging, yeah.
That's this.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was farther. All right.
Questions on that? Move to approve resolution number 16-22.
I do have a question. Did Mueller bid on that?
No, this was already part of the original scope with UCI for the site prep, and they chose not to bid on that entire package of their contract.
Second.
Additional questions? None. I made the motion. Commissioner Powell seconded.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolution number R-16-22 for adoption. Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Resolution number R-16-23, resolution to execute a change order 303 underground utilities and foundations with UCI for sales and use tax for the electric utility.
Mayor and Commissioners, Mayor, if it pleases you and the commission, we can actually do the next two combined. These are both for sales and use tax.
Okay.
The new generation project was originally thought to be in large part tax exempt. All equipment and service construction contracts were bid out as tax exempt. Therefore, all the bids came in and awarded as tax exempt. Now that we've hired a tax attorney, we have to piece out each contract and see which portions are taxable, which portions are tax exempt. What these two items do is they allow us to give authority for these contractors to come back and charge us tax so they can, again, pay sales tax on this. This is a tax allowance. Therefore, if the equipment comes in cheaper or higher, or the services, we'll do a tax true-up at the end. The one for UCI is in the amount of $60,300.26, and the one for Crossland is $118,578, and these are both for state of Kansas sales and use tax.
Questions on this one?
Isn't this project is taxable then? I mean,
Parts of it are.
what parts are how's that work?
We'd have to ask the tax attorney, because I'm not sure that I fully understand it. I disagree with some of it, but
Yeah, I would,
if it directly relates to the generation of electricity, that's non-taxable. But other portions of the equipment, if they're not directly related to that, then that is
Manufacturing of the
taxable.
product, yeah.
It's very confusing.
That's why we have to hire attorneys.
Exactly.
Any additional questions on those two items? Okay, I want to make sure that I get this worded properly. I move to approve resolution number R-16-23, a resolution to execute change order number 303, underground utilities and foundation with UCI for sales and use tax for the electric utility, and resolution number R-16-24, a resolution to execute change order number 05, pre-engineered metal building with Crossland Construction for sales and use tax for the electric utility. That's one motion for
Okay.
both.
And I happily second that motion.
And I do want to say it's change order number 3 on item 16 instead of 303. That should be a number sign instead of a 3. So it.
Okay, it's 303 on mine.
Right.
Okay.
It should be number 3.
All right.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolutions number R-16-23 and resolution number R-16-24 for adoption. Correct?
That's right.
Okay, you look at me funny. Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Resolution number R-16-25, a resolution to execute an agreement with B&L Electric for substation construction services for the electric utility.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is for the New Generation project as well. This is for the substation construction. We did go out for bids for this package. We received 7 bids from 7 vendors. The low bid was B&L Electric. They're out of Clinton, Missouri. Just for reference, we've used them. I can count at least 4 or 5 times. They were actually the same firm that reconducted our 138 kV line back in 2011. They're a good firm and they're good cost. They've been vetted with Burns and Mack as well. So,
Gotta have it.
yes.
Yep. Questions on this item?
No.
Move to approve resolution -16-25 for approval. Second.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolution number R-16-25 for adoption. Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners.
Oh, before you run off, one question.
Yes, sir.
We didn't get a lot of questions in that, but I have one at the very end of it all. After we did all that grand scheme of things, we get a 60-page summary of where we're at about every
month.
Give me the...
We're on schedule. We're maybe not quite a week ahead of schedule. As far as budget, we're still under budget, but each time we come with change orders, we chip away at that. But we started out quite a bit under budget, so that's the saving grace here.
So we're still under budget, still on schedule, maybe a slight bit ahead.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number R-16-26, a resolution to authorize Kansas Department of Transportation to award contract for the 2015 Geometric Improvement Project at 8th and Northeast. Engineering Superintendent Thomas Osborne will make comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. In 2012, the city was awarded a geometric improvement for the 8th and Northeast Street. It was we've been working continually with design. We put a hold on it when the East Side redevelopment started, just because at one point we were closing 8th Street. As you saw, we redid that. 8th Street is, so we've continued this project on. Basically, this project was designed, it was bid. Bids were open last Wednesday. I believe it's KDOT LET project. KDOT runs the whole thing. This just authorizes KDOT to award the project and authorizes the city's portion for that project. A total of $186,000. And Jeff Graham Construction was the low bid on that.
Questions on this, gentlemen?
So what, the 186 the city's cost is?
Yes, the whole total project cost, construction engineering included, was $934,378.
Wow.
So it's a 90-10 grant with KDOT.
Big project. Any additional questions for this item?
Yep.
Move to approve resolution number R-16-26.
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve resolution number R-16-26 for adoption. Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye.
One question before you leave. Idea of start time?
As soon as possible. KDOT takes 2 to 3 weeks sometimes to get their contracts. We'll do a pre-construction meeting, and those notice to proceed should be issued then. The calendar completion date is July 15th for having it open to unrestricted traffic.
So be started and completed before Fair and Rodeo.
Yes.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chapter ordinance number 27, first reading of a chapter ordinance number 27 to exempt the city of Coffeyville from provisions relating to the city manager form of government. City Attorney Paul Kreitz will make comments.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. The 2015 Kansas Legislature passed House Bill 2104, which moves city elections from April of odd years to November of odd years. With your packet, there's a 31-page article written by the League that discusses House Bill 2104 and the complexities of it, and includes a flow chart and several sample ordinances. And this is the one that the League basically prepared as a sample ordinance for cities to adopt to move the elections from the spring to the fall for city manager forms of government. This maintains status quo other than doing that. It basically provides for 5 commissioners and elected in the same cycle as we have now. Nothing has changed other than we'll be having fall elections now instead of spring. For those whose terms would have expired in April of 2017, those terms will now expire on the second Tuesday of January in 2018, and those whose terms would have expired in April of 2019 would continue to serve until the second Tuesday in January of 2020. Do you have any questions?
This is basically a have-to thing, right?
It's a have-to thing. Yeah, it is.
This is basically them getting involved in city politics.
Yeah.
So just,
I wouldn't say it's getting them involved in city as much as
How is it not?
making everything the same.
so here's one question that I have. So the city's elections will now move to, let's just, November of, the election was going to be held April of 2017.
Yes.
Now, the election will be held November of 2017.
Yes.
With the new commission being seated the second Tuesday in January of 2018.
Yes.
Well, hopefully we'll have everything built by then.
But this will mean less elections times, right?
No.
It won't?
No. It'll be the same number, just a different month of the year.
Yeah, but ours will coincide with other ones, won't it? Well, like,
Or, I'm sorry, in the even number years.
And this is in the, which one's in the, isn't it terrible? And I don't mean to make a comment on our infinite wisdom of our legislature, by no means. But isn't it terrible that you pass a law that you have to, it accompanies a flow chart to figure out what you're doing?
That flow chart.
The thing is and I'm not trying to comment on their wisdom, but you would think that simplicity is sometimes the better way to go, but I guess we got us a flow chart to figure out where we're going.
Change is difficult sometimes, and the flow chart really was, because there's 3 classes of cities and there's so many different forms of government, so the flow chart really related to the class of city and the form of government, and then options within those options, I suppose.
so why are they doing this?
It's under the guise of increasing voter turnout.
Because it's the same date?
Correct.
It's a little,
Bring it in to align with state and federal elections.
That's what
Their
I thought.
their idea is that they'll increase voter turnout.
it makes a little sense to me,
So basically move to approve charter ordinance number 27 for first reading.
Yeah, and it takes 2/3, so 4 of you will need to vote in favor of this in order for it to pass, and this is obviously first reading.
And what if it doesn't pass?
I'll twist your arm until it does.
Okay, well, I'm all for it. I just wondered what happens for procedural purposes.
I second, I believe that was a motion.
That is correct.
Yeah, I second.
Motion was made by Mayor Williams and seconded by Commissioner Powell to approve Charter Ordinance number 27 for first reading. Commissioner Castler.
No.
Commissioner Martin.
How far are you gonna twist my arm? Yes.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes, aye.
Mayor Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Squeaked by.
Number 21, mayor selection. City clerk, Cindy Price. And basically, this is because of the new structuring of the
terms.
the terms. This is obviously the second Tuesday of January, so this is when we would see a new commission. This is actually.
Now, this is actually the fourth Tuesday.
Second meeting.
Second meeting, I'm sorry, the second meeting of the, so this is when we would seat a new commission and whatever. Anyway, we need to pick a mayor.
Actually, yeah, in future years, it would be the second Tuesday, the first meeting in January, but since
we've already-
since we're changing the election cycle because of the new state law, I think there's been some discussion about whether we should go ahead and implement the new terms for the mayor and vice mayor. And, you know, our options would be to continue until April. Since we're implementing a new election cycle anyway, we thought it might be appropriate to go ahead and suggest that you all discuss this, and if you want to go ahead and have a new mayor election, vice mayor election, it'd be appropriate to do so. Our ordinance just basically says you're going to annually select a mayor and vice mayor. It doesn't give a specific time. But if you go ahead and take action this evening, if you want to, then the new mayor and vice mayor would serve until January of 20.
And that would be the 10th.
Yeah.
It will not be the 24th. I put the second meeting in January rather than the second Tuesday.
It would continue to be an annual appointment, but we would just move it to January instead of April.
Outstanding. So city clerk Cindy Price will ask for nominations.
Yes, and a nomination does not require a second. So if there's more than one nomination, then we'll just call the roll, and you would vote for the person of your preference. So we'll open the floor now for nominations for mayor to serve through January the 10th of 2017. And that will
Nominate
be
Craig
the second
Powell.
Tuesday. I'm
Craig
sorry,
Powell.
Craig. Are there any other nominations? I'm not gonna, you don't have to say the person because I'll go ahead and state that Craig Powell was nominated to serve as mayor of the city of Coffeyville through January 24th of 2017. Commissioner Castler.
Yes.
Commissioner Powell.
Aye. Yes.
Commissioner
Yes, sir.
Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
When's that start?
Right next
Now,
Okay.
All right, I'll open up for nominations for vice mayor.
Jim Taylor.
All right. Are there any other nominations?
No.
Jim Taylor was nominated to serve as vice mayor of the city of Coffeyville through January 10th of 2017. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Mayor Powell.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
No.
All right. We'll move on to the city manager report.
Mr. Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I'll have to-
Let's start off on the right foot.
I'll remember that. Your Highness, something. I'll attempt to be brief as we ran a little long tonight. Just a quick update on our municipal project. Again, February 6th is the State Historic Preservation meeting. That's when they will have the hearing to see if we're placed on the State Historic Register. Right now, we're in the process of looking to pre-sale tax credits in anticipation of being placed on that register. Window bids are out, and they're due back on February 19th, and that's windows for the City Hall. So we'll open those on the 19th. We are scheduling a meeting with PEC to discuss the HVA systems in City Hall, and that will either be Friday this week or early next week. We'll have them in to look for the design of the HVAC systems. We have closed on the 11th and Gillum property, and we're still working through some issues on the west property. And Paul, do you have any update on that? Or are we still kind of in a standstill?
Yeah, I think they're moving, but there was a power issue still making its way toward clearance. So that's really all I should say.
Okay. We're still trying to work on some wiring issues at the traffic light down here at 9th and Walnut, and we think we get it fixed, and then it goes out. So we're right now working with just a flashing light there that actually seems to be the preference of many of the downtown travelers.
Kendall?
Yes.
A while back, there was talk about as the lights broke, if we couldn't fix them, we wouldn't replace them.
And that has to be part of an overall strategic discussion that we have on how do we address that. I think there would probably be some positive support for that, but I think we need to look at all or none type of situation. That's just my first.
Could just unplug it, put a stop sign up? Is it going to cause that much problem?
It could be kind of a trial thing.
It possibly could, but I think we'd want to have some discussions and not just.
Can we put it on the agenda next meeting?
We can, absolutely.
Look at you, fishing.
And they are antiquated, the wiring especially, and that's the real reasons the wiring's so old that the insulation's falling off and causing dead shorts in it. So they've replaced a lot of the wiring, and it just continues.
Do we have a kind of a rundown of where the status of all of those, or are we just responding as they fail? Are they checked regularly?
I don't know that there's a checking regularly, but I think we respond as they fail.
Okay.
Let you know that we're going to have a public meeting to discuss the brownfield grants and the plan for the walking and biking trail. And it's going to be Thursday, February 11th. It'll be right here at the Senior Citizens Activity Center from 5 to 8 in an open house. However, there will be a formal presentation from 6:30 to 7 p.m. that night. So you can come look and see what the master plan is, and the first phase of it will be starting there at the Sherwin-Williams Park and going north on the old rail spur to approximately just north of First Street, I believe it is. That'd be the first phase. But then we have, you'll be able to see what the anticipated design is for future development. I'll also let you know that I'm going to have another Kindle's Coffee. It'll be Tuesday, February 16th from 7:30 to 9 in the morning at Utopia. It's a come and go. Come have a discussion with me, ask questions, find out what's going on in the city. And then 4th and Buckeye, we had a water break right there at the intersection of 4th and Buckeye. So currently between 4th and 5th Street, it is blocked off, where we'll start pouring concrete tomorrow. It'll be 2 pours tomorrow and the next day, and we'll reopen it on Monday. So it will continue to be closed through the week, for the rest of the weekend to the weekend. Give the concrete some time to cure. And then just a final reminder that strategic planning is going to continue tomorrow night at 5:15. We'll finish up the session tomorrow night.
You gonna be able to make it? Everybody gonna be able to make it tomorrow night?
Keep a lookout for me.
questions?
We had a real good meeting. I'm hoping you can make it, Justin.
I biggered on it, Delia last.
Huh?
Is that all, Kendall?
Yes.
I got a question, Ken, on the
Certainly.
brownfield grants. When's that meeting?
It is Thursday, February 11th. Like I said, it's a come and go. You can come look at the plans between 5 and 8 o'clock, but there will actually be a formal presentation given from 6:30 to 7.
Okay, is that guy, Thomas, you handle that, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. You know, you've been working with Taylor Crane to get something done on some property here. I don't quite understand it. I haven't talked to you about it. You know, how does that, I'd like to know more about it for that, but how's that fit in with this thing, I guess, what I'm saying?
As a requirement, we actually have 3 brownfields grants. They're $2,000 or $200,000 each. There's the $200,000 is for the assessment of hazardous sites. Then there's $200,000 for petroleum sites, and then there's a $200,000 cleanup grant, which is the trail project.
I see.
Basically, the assessments, the two assessment grants allow for phase 1 and phase 2, and they can actually do we can actually do cleanup planning as well with those assessment grants. Basically, if you have a property you're trying to sell, may or may not, maybe it's vacant lots, maybe it's an old building, you can have brownfields assessment done on it, see if there's any potential to be hazards, and then that'd be the phase 1 is just kind of, is there a potential hazards? Phase 2, we'd actually check for the hazards, I mean, it could be anything. We can do lead-based testing for lead-based paint assessments to asbestos building materials.
So groundwater monitoring well, if you had to.
If need be, in the phase 2, there could be some monitoring wells needed.
Okay, so how much money have we spent? I mean, we're gonna talk about all this at that meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay, how much money have we spent on those? Out of this?
I don't have off the top of my head right now. We really just started. We've been having a little bit of trouble getting feedback from EPA. They're really short-staffed. I think their office used to be 8 or 9, and they're down to 3. So there's some issues there. We just really started our phase 1s 2 weeks ago, I believe, on some of the initial that we had from our previous grants, some sites from there. We're hoping at this open house to find more people who'd like sites. Our main areas that we're focusing on are the downtown area and along the future trails project. So that's anywhere along the current trail cleanup area, and we're hoping to kind of have a master plan to show you where we're connecting several parks throughout the city with walking and biking trails. So.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Thomas.
Are there any other comments from commissioners?
I had someone come up to me and show me some pictures of what the 3rd floor is looking like, and in the small courtroom there's wallpaper peeling back, and there's some drainage issue. Is that an us issue because it's in the small courtroom, or how does this all work?
I guess say that again. The wallpaper peeling back, and what was the other thing?
And it's leaking in.
Yeah, we had been notified about a potential roof leak, and and I think I reported that to you at one point, that we had an antenna that blew over. We wondered if it punctured the membrane. We also thought, correct me if I'm wrong, I think, Chuck, did we talk, or possibly Jim, we talked about it coming in around the HVAC system.
Because of the moisture that was on the wall whenever they originally put it up. That was before we had the new roof put on the building, and it had come
could be looked at to see what could be done, but whenever that was remodeled, there was moisture on that existing wall, why the wallpaper will not stay.
But that'll be something as we remodel third floor and do that work, those are things that'll be addressed.
That's all I have.
I have one question. I'd ask, a couple weeks ago about had asked you to explore some ideas of funding sources on how we can derive funds to maintain these facilities that we're obviously fixing to build. Because like I said, prior to that day, that we have a track record of building something and then not doing a adequate enough job of keeping whatever it is that we build up. Where are we at on that?
Well, I would like to say until today, we thought we may have a good funding source. But that has, or it appears that may change. So
We can just leave it at that, if that's where you need to leave it.
for that, we probably need to. But it's some discussions that Stephanie and I have had on where we could, where some of that funding could be, that we could start putting something away. But there was what we thought was going to be a significant source. It doesn't appear going to be that way.
We're spending the money, guys.
We're not. This is nothing that we're spending money. It is just money that it appears we will not be receiving.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
But
No,
those,
okay.
but those exploratory
Yeah.
ideas are still
Absolutely.
being explored.
Absolutely. It's imperative that we have some kind of fund to maintain the work that we've done. Otherwise, we'll be right back to where we were when this all started.
Or where we are now.
Currently, yes.
Thank you.
I just want to thank Chris and Justin for their service as mayor and vice mayor.
Thank you, Jim.
Any further comments from staff? All right, I move to adjourn. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Not to exceed. All right. We'll move to adjourn to an executive session.
Excuse me. I do have one question before we do. Why wasn't this story in the Confield Journal?
There was an article in the Hospital Journal that Rayma wrote.
Okay.
Each journalist writes their own article.
Okay, thank you.
Move to adjourn to an executive session, not to exceed 10 minutes. Do we expect any action? No, just discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.